Hey guys, it is Corey Bound here on Team On the Grind YouTube channel as well as the Wise Guys YouTube channel. This video is going to be cross-posted because I really don't have the energy to record two separate deck profiles for this. These channels belong to longtime friends of mine, both Jackson Madden for Team On the Grind. Shoutouts to him for letting me be on his channel, as well as Greg Farley of the Wise Guys channel. I am coming back to you guys with another Ritual Beast deck profile. First place for the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Regional. It was 9 rounds, 257 players. I finished 8-1. Only loss was in round 6 to Sky Striker. And yeah, outside of the channels I'm on, I first of all want to give huge shout outs to my teammate who traveled with me, Wesley Loveland. You're going to be seeing a deck profile for his Fiendsmith Memento list that he got 4th place with at the regional as well as my teammate John Baker, who got 3rd place with Ubel. It was really cool for 3 of us to attend the regional and for all 3 of us to make top 4. Yeah, I couldn't be more proud of our team and what we're accomplishing at the moment, as well as myself for getting back-to-back regional wins. Yeah, let's just get into the deck profile. So first, let's start with the main deck. I of course played the 3 Spiritual Beast Cannahawk, 3 Rampengu, 1 Apelio, and 1 Petalfin. The Ritual Beast count stays the same. These are just your 1 card and best starters. These cards help you extend and break through boards. Apelio banishing a name out of your graveyard to give 500 boosts each time you do. To your whole board for the turn. Usually you can get it 2 times. Sometimes on rare occasions you can get it 3 times, which lets you reach over any problematic monsters that can't be targeted or outed by card effects, so you have to attack over them. It gives you the reach. And then Petalfin is huge at the moment because of the spike in popularity of Ubel after the ban list. A lot of their stuff cannot be destroyed by battle, so Petalfin being able to bounce it back to the hand, preventing it from triggering any destruction effects, as well as being able to remove it so you can push for game, is really huge. Then for Tamers, first we have the crossover names of 3 Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara and 1 Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda. Lara's the best card in the deck. She discards herself for an additional normal summon. She banishes, when she gets banished, she e-tellies for a name. As well as the destruction effect came up multiple times to protect my board. So that way I could guarantee additional follow-up to push through what my opponent was establishing. And Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda is also really strong, being able to crash into things like SP Elonite. Apollosa no longer, of course, but you could crash it into things that are bigger than it as well, and floating into monsters out of the extra deck, especially with a Pelio boost to push for game and get additional damage on board. Yeah, these are all really strong. I wouldn't change anything about them. And then the just straight Tamers were 3 Elder, 1 Lara, 1 Wen. I'm thinking about adding Zephyr and Pelica and bumping the Ritual Beast count just a little bit, but I have to do some testing with that because I might have to switch around the side pattern going forward just a little bit, so I might need to add an additional card to the main deck because the main deck for this event was 41 cards. I tried my hardest to get it down to 40, but I'll explain that in a minute. So that's the Ritual Beast count. I believe it's 17 names, and then I played the 1 Flag, 1 Corridor, and 1 Protoss. So for the Rosemont Regional, I did not play the Corridor. I'm still not a huge believer in this card for what other people use it for, which is Thunder Dragon Colossus. While I do play the card, I think it is much stronger just as an additional extender rather than putting Colossus on your end board. Protoss, of course, is the card you always want to be going for. It is the FTK card. It is the card that makes it so your opponent cannot play the game. And Flag is just how you get to it through Flame Banshee. Playing the Corridor also has the additional utility of if you are under your own shifter and you link off the flag and it gets banished, you can summon the Corridor, add the flag back to your hand so you have follow-up into Protoss to crack a follow-up board, and then you can just proceed to play from there. And then for the rest of the engine, we play 3 Emergency Teleports, 3 Ritual Beast Inheritance, and 1 Ritual Beast Steeds. All these cards are mandatory in my opinion. I had a Ritual Beast player at the regional come up and say that he was thinking about cutting E-Telly. I told him, do not do that. This card used to be somewhat cuttable in the deck before Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara came out. Now it fulfills either half of your fusion requirements. Inheritance is always the strongest card to start with outside of obviously Droll and Lockbird. Not only its effect to add whatever you want to your hand so you can sculpt your hand to play through the most interruptions, but as well as like the attack loss for 200 for each type you control comes up a lot, especially when you get like 2 of these on the board. Your opponent's monsters will just be like losing 1,200. Your guys will be gaining 1,000. So once again, with a Pelio boost, you're just like beating over so many things that your opponent's not expecting. And then Ritual Beast Steeds is still just like a very strong form of interaction. Non-targeting removal is always strong in this game. It's not great against Yubel because they all trigger on destruction, but like when breaking their board of like XYZ monsters and stuff like that, it's really strong. So that's it for the engine. I believe it was 27 cards. And then we played 14 non-engine. So we played 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Dimension Shifter, 2 Nibiru, 3 Imperm, and 3 Talents. The 2 Nibiru may look kind of strange. I cut it down to 2 for the 1 Nemesis Corridor. That's the 1 card difference from my Rosemont list. And the reason I cut Nibiru to 2 is because it is the worst hand trap alone into Yubel. Because your opponent is always going to make Phantom before the 5th summon, so your Nibiru is never going to do anything. I do side the 3rd, and you'll see that in a minute, but I bring it in when I'm bringing in additional hand traps, so that way I have a higher chance of pairing it with another piece of non-engine. But against like every other deck, it is still, because of no Apo in the format, it is a very strong hand trap. I don't think it's necessarily incorrect to play 3. I just wanted to reduce the chances of me opening either duplicate Nibirus or just opening singular Nibirus and nothing else into Yubel and having them just combo me for free. And then Talents was MVP. This card is basically custom in this deck because there's a lot of times where like your first card will get stopped. You can Talents look at their hand and then use your extender, and then so long, like once you know your opponent doesn't have Nibiru in their hand, you can play for free and go get as greedy as you want. And a lot of your combos get better if you're not having to play through Nibiru. You get like an additional loop or 2. But if you have to play safe from Nibiru, you have to kind of starve yourself of some resources to make sure you don't get blown out. But in the hands where like you don't have anything else, you can Talent draw 2, and there's so many extenders you can draw in the deck, like E-Tellies, Inheritance, Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, that just unlock so many hands and let you play through an additional 1 to 2 pieces of disruption a lot of the time. So like I said before, list was 41 cards. I wouldn't change anything about the main deck. It performed perfectly. Then, of course, shoutouts Prestige and my Nib token. Extra deck, I played 2 Ritual Beast Ulti Canahawk, 2 Ritual Beast Ulti Nochi Drago, 1 Ulti Apelio, 1 Ulti Gaia Apelio, 2 Kimun Falcos, and Ray Rotari. These were all super strong. If you are playing less than 2 of each of these 3 here, I think that is incorrect for this deck. There's, in a lot of your 1-card combos, you have to summon the Nochi and then link it off. And if you return to the extra to get a loop, you make the rest of the combo worse, especially in the 1-card Canahawk anti-Nibiru combo. But the Nochi Drago is just really strong as follow-up as well. So like once you have the first one removed, then like getting back to the second one is always really good. Some people don't see it coming, but like this card just always being in rotation is a lot of what your follow-up is. 2 Canahawk because sometimes you have to banish 1 in order to combo and then summon the second one. And then 2 Kimun Falcos because I needed an additional Psychic to banish from my extra deck. When I'm comboing into Nibirus and stuff such as well as it just being a really strong extender and link to of forcing like another piece of interaction out of my opponent to half the time it'll just be able to tag out if they don't think that far. Ulti Apelio is still just here to dump a name. I think I actually summoned and attacked with it like 2 or 3 times just to beat over some things before like going into the rest of my combo. Gaia Apelio is really strong. This is basically like your better Appaloosa, so you don't lose to Nibiru. I made this guy almost every game when I go first and I combo, even sometimes through like 2 to 3 interactions. there was a game today where I got, well, not today, but Saturday, where I got drolled, and I had 3 Ritual Beast cards in my hand, so I just summoned this and passed to my opponent, and he just couldn't play through the 3 Paleo Negates. And then Raotari is just also really strong for the deck. I always want to have it on my end board. And then for the 6 non-names in the extra deck, I played 1 Infernal Flame Banshee for the Protoss combo. I played the 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus just because I had the 15th extra deck slot open. I made it like twice. Both times it never really impacted the board state. I was winning both times anyway. Yeah, it's just kind of there. Link Spider for when you get Nibiru'd. And then SP Little Knight. That's all pretty standard. And then a couple non-standard cards is Relinquished Anima and Pit Knight early. This card is very important in the extra deck in my opinion. I don't understand why more Ritual Beast players don't play it. The amount of times that like you get through like 1 or 2 of your loops, and then like you can just like turn the Anima, or not turn the Lara into Anima, and then turn it into SP to out something, and then they chain that thing, and then you chain SP to tag out another thing, and then you can banish for Nochi, and then you can link off. It comes up a lot. And then the Pit Knight early came up twice. It came up once for me to make it pointing to my Raotari to have an additional disruption because I had already gone through my SP. And it came up another time because my Yubel opponent put their Varudris in the center column. So after I SP'd to force out the Phantom of Yubel in the impermanence back row, I linked the SP and a Druid Swarm off into Pit Knight pointing to the Varudris, and used the Druid Swarm to send his Wave King. And then from there I Protoss locked him, and when he attempted Varudris, Pit Knight was pointing to it, so it negated it. It was probably one of the best plays I've ever made in this game. But yeah, I really liked every card in the extra deck. I don't think any of it is cuttable outside of like the Thunder Dragon Colossus, because like half the time when I summon Corridor, I was just making a Link monster anyway instead of making the Colossus. But I had the slot open, I couldn't think of anything else to play. Then for the side deck, I played 2 Droll and Lockbird. This was because I guess I'll finish on side deck and then I'll explain my choices. So 2 Droll, 2 Ghost Ogre, 2 Mulcharming Perulia, 2 Bestial Druisworm, 1 Bestial Magnemut, the 3rd Nibiru, the Harpies, the Called by the Grave, and then 3 Crossout Designator. So this was kind of the reason for all like the 2-ofs in the extra deck. A lot of time when I'm going first, it's bringing in these 4 and like 1 Droll, 1 Charmy. Ghost Ogre doesn't hurt you a lot, but Ghost Ogre is really strong into the Yubel matchup, being able to ogre like the 1 of Opening or the 1 of Nightmare Pain and removing it off the board, or even like top decking it into a Wave King or a Unchained Soul of Rage and just chaining Ghost Ogre to it and outing that card can sometimes be all you need to force through your combo. Excuse me. Droll and Lockbird is kind of the same reason. Because of the loss of Lacrima and stuff such as for the Fiendsmith engine, people were bumping up their copies of Fiendsmith Tract. And if they start with Tract, Droll and Lockbird just kind of cooks their whole combo. Mulcharm and Perulia it's good, but it's not great. I've definitely kind of soured on this card. I never drew it over the course of the tournament, so it didn't really matter. Actually, that's a lie. I think I drew it one time when I sided it in, expecting to go first against my Tenpai opponent, and then he chose to go first. So I opened it, I discarded it, and it got ashed. The Bestials are really strong against Yubel. The 3rd Nib is really strong, like I said, when I'm bringing in like 8 hand traps going second. So I have 19 hand traps. The chances of it being paired with something else is very high. And the 1 Harpies was just my only form of interaction with back row, because I didn't feel like there was that many back row decks in the format. Other than like Runic Stun and stuff like that. But cards like Ghost Ogre and Droll and Lockbird have pseudo applications in those matchups of being able to prevent them from setting up all of their back row. And you can play under most of like the Rivalry, Gozen, Skill Drain, stuff like that, because like your extra deck monsters tag out for cost, so you can activate them under Skill Drain, tag them out, the effect resolves. Yeah, so that was the side deck. Overall, the list was really good. I really wouldn't change anything about it. I do recommend that people like try the deck out. A lot of people think that it's just like a shifter Protoss deck, but when you get into like the minuscule lines of the deck, it's really fun, really rewarding for knowing in and out. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace.